think what we want to do is ensure that the British public, through the House of Commons, through Parliament, understands exactly what the impact of Brexit's going to be on different sectors of the economy. Now, the government commissioned these studies and then refused to share them with the public. Presumably taxpayers' money paid for it. So I think the taxpayer would like to know what he or she is in for.
Governments argue that by publishing the studies, it would somehow undermine their negotiating position. After all, if you're playing a game of poker, you don't show your hand. So don't you accept that argument?
No, because I don't think they've got a negotiating position, to be honest. I think they're in complete and utter shambles. And they've proved to Parliament, to the House of Commons, to the public, that they've no idea what they're doing and they don't have a plan.
Are you hoping that by publishing these studies, it will somehow reverse Brexit, that people will suddenly realise what a bad idea it all is and call for a second referendum?
What we want is to make sure that the British public understands what Brexit means in full. And we accept totally that the referendum meant that we need to withdraw from the European Union. Personally, I think that's a disaster. Many of my colleagues feel the same. My constituency voted 67% to remain in the EU, not quite as high as the Gibraltarian public, but getting that way. So I don't hold out much hope for a second referendum. I think that's quite unlikely, but I do think that if there's any chance of the public having the opportunity through Parliament or directly to say, well, this isn't what we wanted, that they can change their minds if they feel that's appropriate.
The Speaker of the House has said that the Brexit studies could be heavily redacted. If that's the case, will you be challenging that?
Of course we will. If you redact information that is crucial to people being fully informed of the outcome of Brexit and what it's going to mean for their lives, then I think that's entirely wrong. After all, we've paid for this.
When do you expect the Brexit studies to be made public?
Well, that I don't know. That will be up to the government itself to give us a date. But Parliament's expressed its views very, very clearly. And Parliament's view is that we want to see these impact studies published, and therefore they should be.
Labour's constantly criticised the government's handling of these negotiations, and Keir Starmer has actually said that what he would call for was a new relationship with the single market. But what Labour hasn't said is, what are you prepared to do to achieve that?
Well, I think that is a matter for negotiation, but I think our leadership and our shadow Brexit Secretary, Sir Keir Starmer, is one of the brightest people I've ever met. He's got a clear vision of what we need to do, and I am absolutely sure that he will work it out. But he's not in the position to implement what he wants. But we're clear that by withdrawing from the single market, it is going to damage the prospects for the British economy and therefore British workers and the British public. But what I'm sure about is that we have a very clear view about how Brexit should be done and how it should do the least possible damage to the economic and social prospects of the population.